Hey everyone, and welcome to Dose of Truth Tarot, our second YouTube discussion.
We'll have to keep track of numbers now, right? We have no idea what number podcast.
Don't worry, I'm the numbers person. Oh, no.
YouTube number 2. Yes. Here's our YouTube number 2. Okay. Yeah. So this one we're going to look at. One of the biggest difficulties is that most of the time we'll sit down and a queer wants to know the future. And Eloise and I both, know about the future. Basically, you can't necessarily predict the future. Though if you've got a, psychic tarot, maybe you'll get some idea. Psychic tarot reader, you may get an idea of what's going to happen. And if you are as well, you've got some ability on the spectrum. There's a spectrum of psychics, they all tune into different aspects. So you never know what you're going to get. And oftentimes even the psychic doesn't know, where they are on the spectrum. You can listen to them and hear what they have to say, and then you go, oh, I see what part of the spectrum. This one is reading, your love life. This one's able to read what's going to happen to work, or this one can get exactly what you did 5 minutes ago. You never know. And even with that, we are constantly in flux, right? We're constantly changing. The planet's changing. We're orbiting around the sun. The moon is orbiting around us, so we're constantly shifting and changing. So nothing is written necessarily, yet there's that contradiction of there is destiny. So in my experience with tarot, I've had moments where I just know that something's going to happen. There's a gal, when she came for reading, I said, you're going to open up a business in 10 years. And she said, she just looked at me with, what kind of thing is that to say? I go, well, it's the future. We have to wait and see. Even if I came close, I have no idea. 10 years later, I get a phone call from this gal, and she says, oh, do you remember me? And I said, yes. She said, well, I yelled at you, and it's on the recording that I swore at you a little bit because I thought it was so stupid what you said. So I just called to let you know. I found it was a cassette tape, and she was cleaning out her closet, and this cassette falls down, and she actually has a recorder. She plays it. She hears herself yelling at me. And then she says, by the way, I just opened my business. So I went, oh, okay, that's really interesting. So I have a lot of examples where that actually occurs, but is that what we're doing in the tarot? It's one of the, of course, I'd like to know, what's going to happen to me, but my life has passed by. And who cares if I knew any of those things? Now, of course, for you young people, it's very exciting to think I'm going to know what will happen, and am I on the right path, and am I doing this or that? Then we would have control of what's going to go on. And there are plenty of sci-fi movies where people go and try to change the past, or they try to, figure out the future, and it can work for them or just make a mess out of everything. So the whole idea, if you sit and think about it a little bit, even watch a couple of sci-fi movies, Back to the Future, you can watch that. It's hilarious, and also the mishaps, and of course the movie creates what it wants to create, but it's food for thought. Can I go do that? Is that possible? If I know my future, well, what's going to happen? And I think I told everyone last week about, that particular time I saw an individual's entire life, and seeing this individual's entire life, what ended up happening to me is it was too much, but also what I ended up seeing was that they were eating or going to the bathroom or sleeping, or you've got all these things we do every day. You can't have something necessarily exciting happen to you every day, as in what's going on a daily basis. You're not going to win the lotto every single day. You're not going to, meet a new love every day. You could imagine, can you imagine meeting somebody new every day? You
Oh,
never get to know them.
it would make a change, but yeah.
You'd be constantly in this massive flux, like, is it the other one that I love, or is it this one? Or
So confusing. Yeah.
and you don't want to have necessarily 10 different people that you fall in love with, right? So then what are we doing when we're reading the tarot? What are we doing? What are we accessing? So here, and I find also a little bit of a negative aspect is oftentimes there's manipulation by a reader. Now that doesn't happen so much today. Well, that's not true. Wait a minute, I just, someone sent me a link to this wonderful thing this individual was told. So, you know what, let me check this out. So I click on the link, and it says a bunch of wonderful things that are about to happen and all these transformations. Now click this link. So you click another link and it's all these wonderful things, but you've got to click more and more and more links. It's very exciting, a lot of hoopla going on every page. And finally, spend your money. So, what do you do with that? I just dragged you in. Now, I don't think there's anything wrong with advertising, and I don't think there's anything wrong with charging for your work. That's absolutely fine. But you've got a little hook that brings an individual in, especially if you're upset, you're having a bad time. It's easy. It's really easy to get a person to start, following you down the rabbit hole to wherever they need to go.
Yeah.
So
when people are vulnerable, they can be very manipulated sometimes.
Exactly. Well,
yeah,
I've seen myself do it.
Yeah.
Having a bad day, let's go check my horoscope, and it says all these nice things. And
like,
I go, okay, that I feel a little bit better, so something could make you feel a little bit better, and it doesn't matter necessarily if you're fine with it. It doesn't matter if you go and get a bunch of readings from this person who led you down the rabbit hole and it makes you feel better. Hey, why not?
Yeah, why not?
We go and buy well, us girls, I don't know about you, but if I'm feeling down or tired, let me go purchase something for myself that's completely silly and stupid and frivolous, and you feel a little bit better, but it doesn't change your life. So I find all these things fascinating. I don't, when I was in India, I used to walk down the streets of Delhi. It was mostly in Delhi that you would see these guys, and they kind of pull you into an alleyway and say they're going to do all these things and give you their money, and you never know, they could pickpocket you as well. It's very interesting. They've got great sleight of hand in India. There's a lot of magicians around, and they can take your stuff. A really funny thing happened to me in India. You can change a couple of $100. Maybe today it's not the same thing, but way back in the day, it was 1997 and or 98, I think, and I go in and change a couple of $100, and you get piles and piles of rupees, so I'm stuffing them in my, money belt and under my shirt and in my bra. I'm like, oh my God, there are way too many rupees. And they were all in 50s. There was not one that wasn't in a 50. It was all stacks of 50s. So I went to order a taxi. You have to prepay the taxi. And I give him a 50, and he goes, oh no, it's too much. No, it's too little, or it's too much, or whatever he did. But we kept handing bills back and forth. And all of a sudden I realized what he's done. And he's, taken 20 rupees off the top or something. And I start laughing, and my friend is next to me, and I just go, he just did sleight of hand on me, and he grabbed 20 rupees, and I looked at him, you know what? Job well done. Keep it. I don't care. Have fun with your 20 rupees. So it was a good, kind of introduction that these things could happen. So keep your eyes out, especially after 2 days of flying to get there. My brain was like, I'm not arguing about this. And by the way, it's really funny. So, these things, as long as, it's not dangerous to you or hurting you or anything like that, then of course it's just fine, right?
Yeah.
So I don't really care. I've seen tarot readers, tell you to wear a certain color on a certain day, and the person feels better, and they say, come back next week and I'll tell you what to do, and they will follow. Quite frankly, in my youth, I was very, virtuous about it, and I think, well, what a terrible thing to do. And as I've aged, I go, you know what? It's okay.
Yeah.
It's just okay. Why not? If the person is willing to have this good time and they feel a little bit better, go for it. But that's not about tarot, is it? It could be about readers. One of the readers I went to many years ago, a relatively young man, maybe he was 35, and it was in Nantucket. And I went in, and I was with my mom, and I said, I'd really like a tarot reading. It's enough for me reading myself. Let me get one. And I did something silly. This is not something I like to do. If I go for a massage, I don't like telling people I'm a massage therapist. Body talkers, and these different things. Well, we kind of all know each other, right? So you can't really say I'm going to hide it. But amongst massage therapists, I could go for a massage in Bali, and I don't necessarily tell them I know how to do a massage. In my city as well, in Montreal, I don't do it. So I did something silly. I went in and I said, I really need a tarot reading. I'm a reader, and I just don't want to read for myself. I like to see what you're picking up. Poor guy got nervous. He got really nervous. And I went, oh no, don't be nervous. I'm sure you're going to do great. Just tell me what you see. You don't have to talk a lot. You don't have to say a bunch of things. I just want to know what you see. He puts his reading out, and he says, you are, and it was the Fool card at the top of his reading. And he just went, you're jumping off a cliff now. You're just in this new journey of nowhere, no way to know where it's going to go. This is where you are. And I looked at him, you know what? That's exactly where I am. I quit my job. I was thinking about all these new things I was going to do. I was going to be a reader and do something totally different. And he got my page, and he says, like, no, just go for it. Looks like you're going to be okay. This is where you need to be. You're in your destiny. So I went, okay, good. Felt really confident. And he was like, don't you want to hear anything else? I go, but do you have anything else? He's like, quite frankly, I'm really nervous. And I said, you don't have to search. You found it. You found exactly what I needed. So sometimes, here's another thing that querents make as a mistake. They'll go in for a reading. Now, I'm a big talker, as all of you can tell. Once you give me a subject, I kind of go off the springboard and I like to talk about it. Well, and quite frankly, it's not just that I'm talking or it's my knowledge. Eloise helps me catalyze a subject to talk about it. Once that subject is catalyzed, I start working on it through myself. So even doing these videos is work that I'm doing within myself to refine my own understanding. You can even see that when I was younger, I thought, oh, how dare you tell people what to do, and how dare you tell them to wear pink and they're going to feel better. And today I see it completely differently. It's like, no, it's fine. That's what that person needs in that given moment. Why am I thinking virtue is going to come in if they feel like somebody was tricking them or whatever? Okay, I have another good story about that. And there's a woman who had come to me for a reading, but I knew she kept going to another reader. We were a bunch of readers in the store. And, she had come to me once and she didn't quite like me. She's like, don't like her. They would call me the brutally honest reader, and then there was the one who made you feel better, and then there was the one. So everyone had a different quality, and of course, I was not the most popular when it came to readings, but I was so stuck in my, it's got to be a good thing, and I got to do the right thing by this person. So I had my own ideas about life, which have shifted so much, and she never came back. She came for that reading and she never came back. But a couple of years later, oh, there she is at my desk. And I thought, she always goes to the other reader. What's she doing here? And she sits down, and that's the first thing she tells me. I don't really like you. So I can't get in touch with the other girl. She's not in today. She's not coming in. And well, I'm stuck with you, kind of thing. So I said, okay. I said, that's fine. You sure you want to do the reading, or you want to wait for her? No, this is really urgent. So we sit down, we do the reading, and she asks me about a particular gentleman. And I said, I don't see anything. I don't even see a relationship. Oh, no, we're in a relationship. I said, oh, well, what kind of relationship? You're just friends? And she said, yes, we're friends. And I said, well, I see you've been friends for many years. You've been hanging out together for a long time. And she says, oh, yes. But the other reader tells me we're eventually going to be a couple. And so I just don't see it, really. Sorry, man. Maybe it's time you start thinking about attracting someone else in your life. And she said, well, how do I know who's correct? And I said, well, it's really easy. You just look at your life. Are you in a relationship with someone you've been friends with and you sleep with on and off for the last, 5 years? Oh, I'm not in a relationship. Well, the cards aren't disagreeing with you. They're agreeing with your life. They're not telling you something you don't know. So you have a wish to have this relationship. And obviously he doesn't want to have one. Yeah. So from then on, I don't know what got her to shift. I think somehow she was ready to have someone who was going to be honest with her. Anyhow, we had a long-term kind of queerance tarot reader relationship for many years. And of course, I record everything. So, because people come back and say, you said this, and it did come true. And I go, I don't think I said that. Even if they think it did come true, it doesn't mean I said it. Right? Yeah. It doesn't mean I saw that. And if something I've said doesn't come true, well, is that what I said? And if something didn't come true, I want to know what I said that didn't come true, because it's just interesting to me. So, she would come in and I make sure I recorded everything, and she would ask me all these questions. And they were just questions. She almost came every day. So I said, I answer your questions in 5 minutes. In those days, I charged just by the minute. So I said, you only have to pay me $5 and go. You don't need to go this full half hour. And she says, no. And she would talk and talk and talk. And everything I said, she would disagree with. And by the end, I was just so tired. I'd go, okay, you know your life better than I do. I'm just reading. And it says, no, that's not going to work out. It says, this is what's going to happen. You need to sit down and work with those things. I won't tell you what she did, but, there were certain things that needed some organization. So she would always call me at the end of the day and say, in the first 5 minutes, you tell me everything that was going to happen. And by the way, sometimes it's very logical, because most people are interjecting their wishes, right? This is what they want to happen, but they don't see the boring everyday details, and the outcome is pretty natural. So it doesn't take, well, I shouldn't diminish all of my experience as a witch now, right? I'm the old crone witch that, has been through enough experience to be able to logically discern some of the outcomes in someone's life. And if there's a surprise that shows up, sure, you might see it in the cards, which you often do. Now, So I just said at the beginning, you're not predicting the future, yet I'm talking about predicting the future. Well, oh my God, right? So here's our minds, our minds cannot understand paradox. We can look at, well, I can't really tell the future, but the cards are showing me something. What are they showing me? Well, here I've got a querent in front of me, and I've got particular cards which are influencing me. So once you get to know your deck of cards, and I'm not just talking about meanings, when somebody learns some of the meanings, and they'll come out and say, well, something bad's going to happen, or something good's going to happen, or blah, 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 whatever's coming out of the cards. That's not enough. We need to really embody the elements of the cards, understand the vertical of the major arcana, understand how, two different court cards would relate to each other, and how those court cards are influenced by a particular suit that might come in, whether it's a major arcana or, let's say you've got two people, they look like they're okay together, you put the ace, you pull a card and it's the Ace of Cups, says, well, there's a lot of love there. But let's say you have two cards and you got the 10 of batons in between. Let's say you have a Queen of Swords and a Knight of batons. You got air and fire, and in between them, the 10 of Swords, which is tons of fire. So here you've got this queen with so much air. She should be intelligent, but with this person, he starts to suck out her air, and she starts to blow up his fire because the 10's in between them. So they're likely, arguing a lot, right? Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. They might like it. So you need a few more cards to determine, is that okay? But you can describe what kind of relationship they have. Now, sure, that sounds pretty logical, but you do have a querent in front of you, and you're sensing, whether you like it or not, their energy. So it also is going to influence how you're working through something, right? So there are a lot more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than in your imaginings. So these things occur. There's we call it a left-right brain balance, and the two work together. And I like to call it magic. It's magical what starts to happen with querents, the cards, yourself, your knowledge, your studies. That how much are you embodying the tarot? When you watch a reader, any reader, let's say on YouTube, and they've been doing it for years and years, they've already embodied it. And they're going to come out with their particular flavor. Everyone's got a different flavor. I have my own flavor. They would have their own flavor. But ultimately, let's say you did something really interesting. So you have a reading, or you put a few cards out for someone, and you have them tell you what the card evokes. You may get something very interesting coming out. Of course, that's not why people come to a reader. They want their expertise. So, that's traditionally what we do. But, the sensitivity of the reader to know, I'm going to start talking about this. Let's see what they're going to say, because they could say, well, no, that's not it. And I've had people tell me, no, that's not it. And I go, well, you describe it. And they'll describe it. I say, how is that different from what I said? And they go, well, you said this. I said, yeah, but I didn't know the names of the people in your life. I said, it's a language difference, and it takes time to speak a language that everyone's going to understand, and not everyone's going to understand. Some people are going to pass by this channel and go, she's not what I like to listen to. And some people go, wow, look at the information she gives, right? And it resonates with them. So as you can tell, it's a really long subject. It's taken me a year to even come to a minute understanding. So there's so much to talk about behind it, and so many different stories to kind of equate what we're doing here. So we've got so much going on. And when you're looking at the reading, you're actually seeing what's going on with the individual right now. And from that place, you can see the probabilities of what will happen. So let's say you've got someone who's always got a man around them, but they never get into a relationship, or they start one and it doesn't work. And, I often hear that, oh, Terryann, you always tell me there's someone around and I'm going to have a relationship, but I meet someone and it doesn't work out. And I go, yeah, right. So the relationship you will be in. So when you look at the vertical, there's really no time or space. So I can see that there's a relationship for the individual, and sometimes I can't tell exactly when.
Yeah.
And is that going to happen? Because it could happen in a couple of lifetimes from now. Now that's very saddening. I don't necessarily tell the person,
Yeah, that would be a bit depressing.
because this one's not going to work or that one's not going to work. And they're very hopeful when they do meet someone and they're in a relationship for a couple of years, but it's not the one. That's a whole other ballgame, if someone's single and wants a relationship, I'll often ask quite a few questions depending on what cards come out. So they would hone in, because you could talk forever about what's going on in someone. So I look at, what is actually going on with them. And I'll evoke, sort of with the questions, some of their issues. And I'll say, well, that would be something you look at. Maybe go see a therapist. Maybe, start working with that. Oh, no, I don't want to do that. He should just accept me the way I am. And you can see the defensiveness right away, that I'm going to continue having huge expectations of the partner. Let's say that's a big one. I have huge expectations of who I'm going to meet, and I'm not going to live my life in a way that I'm fulfilling what I want, so that someone comes in and goes, oh, we match. Because if I'm in a place I don't have what I want, and I'm expecting someone to come in and bring me up there, that's not going to work. Then there's some people, it's the opposite. Some people, they need to raise the bar. So they're dating, guys who don't have money, or they're dating guys who cheat on them. It's like, well, now you need to look at what's going on, or you need to raise the bar.
Yeah.
That right away they'll burst into tears, like, I don't deserve someone better, etc. And I go, well, if you don't deserve someone better, then stay with this individual. I don't want to. And I go, well, there you go. So you're already ready to move forward. So you can really pinpoint different aspects of the querent that maybe they weren't really willing to look at. Now, again, not everyone is willing to look at it. Not everyone is willing to look at the devil. It's my favorite card, because that's where we're blinded. And I've been asking, I started asking my mother when I was 8 years old, how can I see what I don't see? Which to me is so much of what the devil talks about, is or brings to the table, is something you don't see. And I love it when the devil shows up, because that's the point where I can say, well, there's something you don't want to see. This is the arena it's in. You need to do that. And they can say, no, tell me this. I'm going, no, your devil's there. It says you got to face it. Otherwise, this stays the way it is. The probability is it's going to stay. So you'll change when you change. And that's indeterminate, because your devil's there. And we don't know when you're going to look at it. Me and the cards, meaning I don't know when you're going to look at it. I don't know when you're going to dare. You might do it at 60. You might do it at 70. You might wait till another lifetime to deal with that. Eloise, we picked such a big topic.
I know, we could talk forever.
It's so exciting to begin to understand that there's no time and space. And when you shift something, you just wake up one day and go, I'm grown up now. I take responsibility for my life. So that's a big one. I take responsibility for everything. I take responsibility for my body, my money, my home, my emotions, all the feelings I have. I stop blaming everyone else. Well, that's huge. That's almost self-realization, but it is big to take responsibility, and your life entirely changes. So somebody I love very much is Jordan Peterson, and he says, clean up your room. And of course, I can't tell you, one of the things I resonate with Jordan Peterson and clean up your room is, I've told people this since I started reading tarot, clean up your room, clean up your house, clean up your closet. It's going to clear out your mind. You'll start to feel a lot better about yourself. Even if you're, the worst thing is you have no job, you have nothing, and you're sitting there fretting about how to pay the bills. It's time to sit down and really organize, because fretting about the bills and fretting about money is not going to do it for you. So, that's a huge topic. But
use the energy on something else instead.
You could use the energy, or even keep your energy, right? The energy we use worrying about something versus the energy to clean up your room is just not weighted properly. So here's the energy to clean up your room, and here's the energy to think about it. This is like nothing, and so it actually weirdly enough amplifies your energy. It's just like a little bit of exercise. You get all those endorphins going, and you feel really good. Sure, yeah, of course that happens. Now, in cases where it's your health, first start with your health, and then move into the next arena. Again, huge subjects to have fun with, and I'd love to hear what people want to talk about. I don't think I've even come close to touching the surface. This needs a 3-hour talk on time and telling the future. But if you start with the idea that I'm working with someone and I can see something in potential, and what is the probability that that's going to unravel? And your cards in the individual tend to show you, if you see a bunch of, let's use this term for the moment, you put out a reading, you don't know how to read very well, but you notice a bunch of dark cards, the cards are rather dark. Well, this person is in a place where they're not going to meet that potential. So something needs to shift here. You might look and go, hey, I see the star card. So the star card can be dark in many readings, because the star lighting up the dark sky. And then you see usually a female figure who's lit up. Well, one of the ways to look at the star card is like Pinocchio, it's a wish you make. But if we stay in wishing and we don't, clean up our room and put ourselves at the center of our lives, just organize things, do things one by one, it reduces the worry, right? If you've got a lot of anxiety, you're anxious. Well, the first thing you need to do is take care of that anxiety. I know people are going to say, how do you do that? Well, there's a multitude of ways to take care of your anxiety. You start seeing, one of the things I do when I have a physical problem is I see many, many people from the Western medical system to Eastern medicine to energy work. And sometimes I don't hit the nail on the head. Sometimes I don't. So I keep looking. And then people tell me, well, what about, I don't have money. I'm like, wow, you can go online and find plenty of places where you can experience so many different techniques for nothing. Eloise and I both do live free treatments, energy work. You can access those. You can look up EFT and do it.
There's a million EFT videos on there.
You can do Ho'oponopono. Go on YouTube, Ho'oponopono. So there's really no excuse not to deal with something, except that maybe your karma says you got to suffer till you don't. And well,
sometimes
we can be pretty stubborn. Creatures like, no, I'm not going to do that now. I have a backache. I'm not dealing with it, but I stretched. So I feel a little better, or the doctor gave you some meds, but I'm not going to keep researching. I'll just take the meds, or oh no, I do a lot of exercise and I make really strong muscles back there. And every so often it spasms, and I take a few drugs and deal with it. So there are just too many things out there that you can do to take care of yourself. But if you don't know what it is too, you can hone in by going to your tarot reader. They can help you out too. Like, what would be which method is the best for me now, and what do I access? And you can find so many people online who are doing different things that'll help you out. So there you go.
Well, we could talk for days, as always.
I think we could continue this.
Yeah, we could continue this next month.
Maybe we'll just segue next week into this. But I'd really, please, smash that subscribe button.
Smash, thumbscribe, as I always say.
And hit the like button, share. That really helps Eloise and I out.
Yeah, and write a comment. Let us know if you liked it. Put a smiley face. Tell us where you are in the world, if you've got any questions.
And get us to have 100,000 viewers this year by the end of the year. So
why not?
Because the more viewers we have and the more people supporting us, not just smashing like buttons, etc., but it actually gives us energy. If you go on and nobody's asked a question, or it's a little bit of a downer, right? But the moment you start getting that energy, it pushes us to do more and think of more things to do, and find new things. Like, what do you want to know about when it comes to learning tarot? And of course, Eloise and I have our course up, so you can get that in the description if you want to buy the entire course. And our membership is closed right now, but it'll reopen again at some point so that you can be in on the Q&As. And then you've got all of this to help you out. All right, so have a great day, and thank you, Eloise, as always, for being there, giving me subjects, and and listening to this in a different way.
I'm holding the space.
But I think we learn a lot too.
Yeah, we do.
One thing that I think Eloise and I can share, there's a big difference in how I do the work now versus when we started all of this 5 years ago.
Yeah, we're evolving. The work is evolving. It's getting cool. Yeah.
It's definitely evolving. Different approaches, different ways of doing things. It's been, a wonderful journey.
Yeah, it's exciting.
All right, so we'll see you next week.
Yeah, take care, everyone. Bye.